Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into something really unsettling, coming out of the Sonanadi core zone.
Yeah, and this isn't just folklore, right? We're talking documented accounts, some really strange evidence.
Exactly. Not campfire tales. And we know you, our listener, want the core information quickly and thoroughly. So that's the plan.
A deep dive. We want to get into the history, the reported behavior, and honestly, some pretty unbelievable survival tactics linked to this shape-shifting entity.
It sounds wild already.
It is. And what's gripping, like you said, is it's not just whispers. We've got historical records, eyewitness accounts, even tech data later on. It all points to something unusual.
Okay, let's get into it then. The origins. Where does this story even begin?
It seems to trace back to a Tharu shaman, Bagheera, probably pre-1800s, and the story behind it is pretty tragic.
Tragic how?
Well, the account suggests his family was killed brutally by British hunters, and this loss, this grief and rage, is supposedly what drove him to change.
So vengeance was the motive, not some gradual thing.
Seems like it. A very specific, ritualistic act aimed at revenge. The details described are, well, intense.
What kind of ritual are we talking about?
We're talking ancient tantric practices, merging his spirit, his essence, with a tiger's. There's mention of a dark brewed tiger blood, human remains, datura under an eclipse, and even self-inflicted death prayers, like carved into his skin. It paints a picture of someone utterly consumed by revenge.
That's a dark start. And the first recorded incident, when did things kick off?
1824, that's the first documented attack, and it really sets the stage.
What happened?
You have reports describing a creature maybe 7 feet tall, standing on human legs, but with the head and claws of a tiger.
Okay, that's terrifying on its own.
But here's the kicker. It apparently spoke flawless Hindi.
Spoke. Like words.
Yes. Quoting Bagheera's supposed last words, "Now we hunt the hunters." That detail, immediately suggests something unnatural.
Definitely beyond just an animal attack. And the killings themselves, was there a pattern?
Oh, absolutely. A disturbing one. Victims were found skinned.
Skinned alive.
The accounts suggest that, yes. And their bodies weren't just left. They were arranged in specific tantric yantra patterns, geometric shapes.
Like a ritual.
Exactly. Not just killing for food. It points to a purpose, maybe linked back to Bagheera's shamanism, carrying out that original vow. It's a recurring signature.
Okay, so fast forward a bit. The 1890s, things seem to escalate.
Dramatically. Suddenly, British officers start vanishing in the area. 23 of them.
23, that's a lot.
It was enough to trigger a massive hunt. A big expedition sent in to find out what was going on. And we actually have a journal from that hunt, or part of one.
What does it say? The final entry I hear is particularly chilling.
It really is. It describes the creature using shape-shifting in a really cruel, personal way.
Oh, so?
It apparently took the form of Sergeant Wilkins's dead wife, appeared to him like that, exploiting his grief.
Oh, that's awful. That implies intelligence, manipulation.
Right. Calculated cruelty.
Yeah.
And the fate of that hunting party. Just grim.
How were they found?
Hanged upside down. Skulls meticulously cleaned out and filled with tiger teeth.
Like trophies. A message.
Precisely. Symbolic violence. It's not just a beast. It's demonstrating cunning, continuing that message of revenge against intruders. You start to see this pattern emerging, connecting back to Bagheera's vow.
Okay, let's shift to more recent times. Modern encounters. Are there any documented cases?
There are. And they're just as bizarre, maybe even more so with the details we get. Take 2001, Raju Tiger Eye Patel, sole survivor of a safari group.
Tiger Eye. Why the nickname?
He supposedly stared it down, but his account? It's packed with details that are hard to explain away.
Like what? What did he see?
He described its posture, upright, but moving with this unnatural flexibility. And the voice mimicry. That's deeply unsettling.
What kind of mimicry?
It wasn't just random sounds. It supposedly recited his childhood memories, personal things, in his mother's voice.
No, that's psychological torture.
Exactly. Suggests a high level of awareness, right? Not just mimicking sounds it heard. And then there's the physical description. The jaw. He claimed its jaw unhinged vertically, like straight down, impossibly. And inside, a second set of human teeth.
That's anatomically impossible. For a tiger, for anything, really.
Completely. Goes against everything we know. And his escape is interesting, too.
How'd he get away?
He used the symbol, drew it in his own blood. He believed it offered protection based on local traditions.
Which ties back to the potential tantric origins, maybe. Spiritual forces at play.
It raises that question, doesn't it? What is this thing, and what actually affects it? Could ancient symbols hold power against it?
Then there's the 2017 incident, the research team. This one involved technology, right?
Yes, and that's where things get even stranger, perhaps more concrete for some. They captured data.
What kind of data?
Well, there's night vision footage. It apparently shows a naked human figure just standing there. Then it suddenly sprints.
How fast?
They clocked it at 68 kilometers per hour from a standing start.
68. That's
Well,
inhuman speed.
Absolutely. And audio logs. They recorded growls that apparently formed coherent Hindi sentences.
Like the 1824 account. What did it say this time?
Something like, "Come closer, little scientists."
Yeah.
A direct, chilling taunt. It shows understanding, not just parroting.
Okay, that's terrifying. What
Yeah.
else did they capture?
Thermal data showing its body temperature fluctuating rapidly, swinging between human norms and tiger norms within seconds.
How is that even possible?
We don't know. It defies biology as we understand it.
Hmm.
And then the team vanished. All three researchers.
Vanished. Complete.
Gone. The last piece of data recovered was an image from a dropped camera. A close-up on the lens.
Of what?
A human hand. But it had tiger stripes on it.
Stripes.
Ugh.
On a human hand. So
Wow.
proof of transformation or infiltration.
It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? These modern accounts, the tech data, they seem to almost validate the older stories in disturbing ways.
So putting these accounts together, can we piece together how this transformation happens? Is there a process?
Based on eyewitness descriptions, it seems there might be stages. It often starts with observation, apparently, mimicking voices, loved ones, maybe to lure victims.
That psychological element again,
Yeah.
using familiarity as bait.
Exactly. Playing on trust, on emotion. Then comes the physical shift.
The part Raju Patel described.
Possibly. Witnesses mention this grotesque in-between phase. Still humanoid, but claws growing, fangs lengthening, a real violation of natural forms.
Mortifying.
Then the feeding frenzy, often described with that impossible jaw unhinging detail.
That seems consistent across different accounts.
It does. And finally, the post-kill ritual, arranging the remains.
In those same geometric patterns from 1824.
The reports claim exactly that, the same tantric yantra shapes. It's like a signature, tying everything together across centuries.
And the local Tharu elders, what do they make of all this?
They have a belief that adds another layer of dread. They think it absorbs memories with each kill.
Meaning it gets smarter.
More intelligent, yes. Learning, evolving, becoming potentially more dangerous over time.
Okay, this is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Given how terrifying this all sounds, is there any advice, any guidelines if someone were hypothetically in that area?
There are. Based on local knowledge and some of the accounts, there are definite do's and don'ts if you encounter something like this, especially if you hear those familiar voices.
Right. So, what should you do?
Okay, first, show your palms. It's apparently a Tharu sign of non-aggression. Simple, but maybe effective.
Okay. What else?
Recite the Gayatri mantra. The belief is it disrupts tantric energy, which could affect the creature given its origins.
A spiritual defense. Makes sense in context. Anything physical.
Throw salt or iron nails. Traditional belief holds these can temporarily ground a shifting entity, disrupt its form, might buy you time.
Interesting. Okay, those are the do's. What about the don'ts? What should you absolutely avoid?
Right. Crucially, don't follow it into water. Reports claim it can hold its breath underwater for like 7 minutes.
7 minutes. Okay, no water. Got it.
Also, don't look directly at its mouth when it's speaking. The idea is it can induce some kind of trance.
Like a hypnotic effect.
Something like that. And this one's odd. Don't run in a straight line. Apparently, it corners prey against these unnatural, sharp, 90-degree rock formations that seem common in the area. It suggests it knows the terrain and how to use it tactically.
Wow. Okay, that's specific. Good to know, hypothetically. This brings us towards the end, and you mentioned an epilogue, something about recent developments.
Yes, and this is where it gets perhaps even more unsettling, suggesting it's not just continuing, but adapting, evolving.
How so? What's new?
Well, in 2022, a trail cam supposedly caught it, wearing human clothes.
Wearing clothes, like trousers and a shirt.
The report suggests something like that, which implies a whole new level of understanding and mimicry of human behavior beyond just voice.
That's a disturbing leap. What else?
2023, there are these strange reports. Blurred figures appearing in the background of phone selfies found on victims after their deaths.
It's like it's inserting itself into their photos. Post-mortem.
It's bizarre, almost like a taunt, leaving these digital ghosts. What does that say about its understanding of our technology?
Deeply creepy.
Oh.
Anything more recent?
2024. Just this year, Tharu hunters reported hearing English phrases now. not just Hindi.
English, so it's learning new languages.
That's the implication. Which means its methods of deception, of luring people, could be becoming far more sophisticated. It's adapting to new potential victims, maybe.
This all leads to a pretty chilling final warning then, doesn't it?
It does. The takeaway seems to be wary. Extremely wary. If a guide or someone you're with in that region suddenly knows things they shouldn't. Personal things.
Check under their collar. For stripes, is that the idea?
That's the unsettling suggestion, that it might be able to impersonate people almost perfectly, someone you trust.
Good Lord.
And that final detail about it preferring warm skins in winter is just a stark reminder of the predator underneath all the mimicry.
So let's try and summarize this deep dive. We've gone from Bagheera's tragic origin
Through the colonial escalation, the first hints of shape-shifting,
to the modern accounts, Raju Patel, the research team, the tech data.
piecing together that terrifying transformation process and those crucial survival do's and don'ts.
Right. And touching on the Tharu beliefs about it absorbing memories, becoming smarter.
And the main point, really, is if you're ever near the Sonanadi region, knowing these stories, these documented details, however wild they sound, it might just be crucial.
It really might. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on, doesn't it?
Which is?
If this thing is learning, adapting, picking up languages, maybe understanding tech, what are the long-term implications? What else could it learn? What abilities might it develop next?
That's a deeply unsettling question to end on. What happens as encounters continue? We just don't know.